Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Defence Minister of India, Honorable Raksha Mantri Shri Rajnath Singh Ji has arrived. जय हिंद सर, समारोह शुरू करने की अनुमति दे श्रीमान. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the classical way of seeking permission from the chief guest for commencement of the proceedings. The Indian Air Force has taken the initiative for organizing this Chief of the Air Staff Conclave during the Aero India 2021. The conclave provides an ideal forum to discuss important issues with respect to aerospace strategy, emerging technologies, and their impact on future battlefields. Further, we shall delve into subjects impacting security and stability of the global common, the Indo-Pacific. The Chief's conclave envisages tangible delivery in suggesting possible solutions to the policymakers of the world. The three sessions planned address the themes of disruptive technologies and innovations, air power in Indo-Pacific region, and air power and aerospace strategy. These sessions would be attended by the chiefs of air forces and delegates from the friendly foreign countries, invited dignitaries, and senior officers from the Indian Air Force. While 26 countries have physical representation in today's conclave, and 14 countries are in virtual attendance in a hybrid format, facilitated in accordance with the new normal. The various sessions and talks during the conclave are on contemporary topics and issues that are bound to captivate the audience. Now may I please request Air Marshal R.D. Mathur, Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, Vishisht Seva Medal, 8th Decom, Air Officer Commanding in Chief Training Command, to deliver the welcome address.
Honorable Raksha Mantri Shri Rajnath Singh Ji, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Staff Bangladesh Air Force Air Chief Marshal Masihur Zaman Sarniabad, Commander Kenyan Air Force Major General Francis Omondi Ogola, Chief of Maldives National Defence Force Major General Abdullah Shamal, Commander Sudan Air Force Lieutenant General Isam Eldin Saeed Koko Abdul Rahman, Chief of Tajikistan Air Force Lieutenant General Safar Ali Zoda Rahman Ali, Commander Tanzanian Air Force Major General George William Ingram, Commander UAE Air Force and Air Defence Major General Staff Pilot Ibrahim Nasser Muhammad Al Alawi, Chiefs and virtual attendants, which include Chief of the Royal Australian Air Force Air Marshal Mel Hupfield, Chief of Danish Air Force Major General Anders Rex, Commander of Djiboutian Air Force Colonel Wahib Musa Kanileh, Division General Director of Military Aviation Equatorial Guinea Francisco Asumu Obama, Commander Islamic Republic of Iran Air Force Brigadier General Aziz Nasir Zadeh, Commander-in-Chief Air of the Republic of the Union of Myanmar General Mong Mong Kyo, Chief of Air Force New Zealand Air Vice Marshal Andrew Clark, Chief of Staff Republic of Korea Air Force General Lee Seong Yong, Commander Swedish Air Force Major General Carl Johan Edstrom, Commander Sri Lankan Air Force Air Marshal S. Patirana, Commander-in-Chief Thai Air Force Air Chief Marshal Airbul Sutiwan, Commander Qatar Emiri Air Force His Excellency Staff Major General Pilot Salem Hamed Mohammad Akil Al Nabid, Major General Nandor Kilian from the Hungarian Defence Forces, Commanding Officer of Seychelles Air Force Major Rodney Zareen, heads of delegations, delegates, other distinguished guests, friends from the media, and colleagues. It is with tremendous pleasure that I welcome you on behalf of Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria to this Chiefs of Air Staff conclave. For any air force, the strategic and the tactical are two sides of the same air power coin. We are all aware that modern air power assets can today deliver strategic, operational, or tactical effects, sometimes all in a single sortie. At the same time, considerable changes have taken place in our neighborhood, as well as in the regional and global scenario. Challenges have grown, and many of them that we thought of as future challenges have already arrived. The requirement to operate jointly with the other services is now more than ever before, and therefore the need to establish interoperability between any sensor and any shooter. Multi-domain command and control is increasingly seen as key to military success. There are many problems to which there are no comprehensive solutions yet, one such being the threat from weaponized drones. Major transformation will be needed if air forces are to retain their current relative advantage as compared to the other services. This is, therefore, an opportune time to discuss these and other issues of mutual interest and, of course, to renew contacts. For this conclave, 3 sessions are planned in hybrid format. The inaugural session is today, and the other 2 sessions are planned tomorrow in the forenoon hours. The topics range from traditional to contemporary, reflecting on the role aerospace power would play in this region. So, welcome to Bengaluru, welcome to this conclave. I sincerely hope that you will enjoy the sessions. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, sir. Now may I please request Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria, Param Vishesh Seva Medal, Ati Vishesh Seva Medal, Vayu Sena Medal, 8th Decom, Chief of the Air Staff, to deliver the keynote speech.
Honorable Raksha Mantri Shri Rajnath Singh, Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, my fellow chiefs and distinguished members of delegations present here and on virtual conference, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. At the outset, let me express my deep gratitude to the chiefs and delegates for accepting our invitation during these troubled times given the COVID travel restrictions and coming to Aero India 21. For all those who could not make it physically due to the COVID issues, your virtual presence is as important to us, and we look forward to sharing and exchanging thoughts during this conclave. We have witnessed a paradigm change in the geopolitical landscape in the recent years, and globally, we are facing unprecedented levels of uncertainty, volatility, and interconnected threats. While the world was grappling with complications and control of the pandemic, the worsening interstate relations, rising mistrust, and geopolitical tensions have only reinforced the importance of mature and balanced cooperation at international level. We need to strengthen our mutual understanding and existing security frameworks based on the principles of cooperation, collaboration, and coexistence. For India, our security challenges are as varied as our geography and, may I say, as unpredictable as our threats. Being in the thick of operations quite often and currently virtually round the clock, the Indian Armed Forces have gained a wealth of experience and expertise over the years, which can be of mutual interest. Indian Air Force has built bridges of friendship through numerous bilateral and multilateral exercises with a large number of nations who share common values and interests in maintaining peace and stability. These joint exercises have not only helped us share our best practices, but have also created an environment of trust and ability to cooperate, operate together in times of distress. Conclaves like these provide an excellent opportunity to discuss the security challenges, current and emerging, and mutually establish measures to enhance cooperation between our air forces. The topics for this conclave have been chosen based on the technological advances, changing threat matrix, and evolution of air power as we see it, and we look forward to the presentation and discussions on these subjects and all such related aspects. The nature of warfare has changed significantly in the last few years. Advent of new technologies and cross-linking of physical, digital, and cognitive domains has complicated the art of warfighting considerably. Our understanding of national boundaries has shifted well beyond the classical definitions of airspaces, land borders, and shorelines. An attack may originate without warning several time zones away, and its effect may proliferate rapidly across several domains. Also, the exponential technological progress made in the last few years has made the realm of SEPCON warfare more complex. The low cost and easy availability of simple disruptive technology like drones with small state or non-state actors have made such technology and weapons more lethal, agile, and capable of generating disproportionate effects. The attack on Aramco oil refinery with armed drones, new drone technologies in the Syrian conflict, and mass usage of unmanned aircraft system and loitering munitions in Armenia, Azerbaijan highlight the changing nature of modern warfare. We are closely observing these developments and are focusing on developing capabilities in the unmanned and optionally manned platforms, manned unmanned teaming, and anti-drone technologies and capabilities. With growing dependence on space for communication, navigation, precise weapon delivery, ISR, etc., space-based assets have become critical to warfighting. And these assets are both force multipliers and targets themselves. In the digital great game, software has become as important as hardware, and adversaries are constantly trying to target space, electronic, and the IT infrastructure. The ease and degree of deniability and anonymity associated with such attacks increases vulnerability of critical national infrastructure as well as the defense infrastructure. There is a requirement to have mechanisms to rapidly identify and handle such threats together. Multi-domain awareness through ground, sea, or airspace based platforms is a critical prerequisite to meet the growing security challenges. In order to gain an advantage in the decision cycles and ensure that we retain an edge in a highly dynamic battle airspace, we need a very high degree of networked situational awareness for the decision makers. Towards this, a cooperative and collaborative network-centric approach for information sharing and partnerships in combating subversive activities would go a long way. And for such things, this conclave would be an ideal place to discuss. At this point, I would like to dwell briefly upon IF's experience in building a potent network-centric capability. In 2006, we embarked on a path of integrating all our sensors, radars, AWACS, ISR platforms, etc., into a network system called the Integrated Air Command and Control System. And today we have this seamless airspace surveillance capability across the entire airspace, and this has been done indigenously with our own industry. Concurrently, we have been actively partnering with industry to expand our digitization and automation footprint across the domains. A leading IT firm has developed our electronic maintenance management system, which has now become one of the world's largest such system deployed against multiple types of platforms and equipment across the Indian Air Force. And the entire flow is digital and automated. We are also working on multiple AI-based tools in order to enhance our operational efficiency. These capabilities will be visible to you as you go around the industry stalls during the Aero India. India and Indian Air Force are also conscious of the responsibility that we share with our friends and partners in responding to calls for assistance in the wake of natural disasters and calamities. IF, with its potent strategic airlift capability, has been at the forefront of HADR missions in this region. Towards COVID-related tasks, IF has undertaken extensive missions for evacuation as well as providing medical supplies. To deepen the HADR cooperation and coordination among our neighbors, we have also been conducting regular exercises on bilateral and multilateral front to mutually share our expertise and assist in capability building. To enhance such interoperability further, we should look at establishing a methodology for sharing ISR grid as and when necessary. International cooperation can be created by enthusiastic, forward-thinking planners and partners, but they need to be backed by credible and appropriate military power, which should be largely indigenous. To build indigenous capability, the Government of India has introduced multiple reforms and policy changes which encourage partners to collaborate on creating the next generation's technologies and platforms under the Make in India program. From the IF's perspective, we have placed large orders for the light combat aircraft, overall in excess of 7 million USD, and also placed orders with respect to radars, weapon systems, sensors, and all such platforms. LCA by itself is the best aircraft in the lightweight category that we know of and is in the future going to be a major part of our Indian Air Force. We are also embarking on the development of advanced medium combat aircraft, which is going to be a 5th generation aircraft with some 6th generation technologies in a public-private partnership model. We have already placed large orders for other indigenous systems apart from radars and weapons. I have no doubt in my mind that in the coming decade, the Indian airspace sector will truly come of age and become a significant player in the overall global airspace supply chain. To conclude, seen through the geostrategic prism, India is central to the peace, stability, and security in this region. And Indian Air Force's prowess would be a crucial enabler. This conclave gives us the opportunity to exchange ideas and views and would undoubtedly enhance multilateral cooperation and engagements between our air forces. And for effective, prompt, and sustainable air operations in response to any situation that requires cooperative action. I thank you once again for joining us at Aero India 21 and being a part of this conclave. I am sure you all will have a good look at all the exhibitions and the exhibitors who have put their stalls in Aero India and have a good look at the air show and the air displays. I look forward to constructive and fruitful interactive sessions which are ahead of us. And I would like to specially thank the Honorable Raksha Mantri and the Chief of Defence Staff for sharing their precious time and being here with us for the inaugural session, and the Honorable Raksha Mantri for his inaugural address. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now may I please request the Honorable Raksha Mantri, Shri Rajnath Singh Ji, the chief guest for the conclave, to address the august gathering.
Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadoria, Air Marshal Sandeep Singh, Air Marshal R.D. Mathur, Chief of Air Forces from our friendly countries, delegates and officers, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to address all of you on the opening day of this conclave. I would like to thank all the delegates for sparing their valuable time to be with us despite the constraints of the pandemic. I also thank those attending in virtual mode for taking out time from their busy schedules. The CAS conclave brings together senior dignitaries from Air Force around the world, and it is but befitting to have such a conclave as part of Aero India, which is primarily focused on air power and associated technologies. My compliments to the organizing staff of this mega event. Friends, this edition of Aero India is focused on showcasing our intent to make India one of the top countries in defense and aerospace industry. Government of India's recent approval for indigenous manufacture of 83 light combat aircraft Mark 1A by Hindustan Aeronautic Limited for Indian Force is affirmation of our faith in the capabilities of our indigenous defense industry. Atmanirbhar Bharat means self-reliant India has been the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. LCA has been successfully operationalized and inducted into Indian Air Force with state-of-the-art weaponry. The capabilities of this aircraft have been showcased to global military experts during the Britain and Langkawi air shows, and the superior performance of this aircraft has impressed aviation experts around the world. LCA Mark 1A will be indigenously designed, developed, and manufactured and would bolster the Make in India initiatives of the nation. With close to 500 indigenous design and production agencies being involved in the design and production of LCA technology and components, the present procurement would further strengthen the existing Indian aerospace ecosystem and provide it with the necessary impetus. Friends, our indigenous defense and aerospace industry has many success stories in form of platforms like LCA, ALH, means Advanced Light Helicopter, and AEW&C, means Airborne Early Warning and Control Aircraft, radars and missile systems, and a host of smart long-range weapons. Our own Defense Research and Development Organization tested 12 missile types of spanning the spectrum of ranges and proposed in a matter of 1.5 months. During the current edition of Aero India, I am hopeful that you would find time to visit various stalls displaying a range of Indian equipment which have been indigenously developed and manufactured. A strong aerospace manufacturing base is essential for India to achieve self-reliance as well as support needs of a rapidly expanding aviation sector within the country and in the neighborhood also. Indian Air Force has launched a major indigenization drive for sustenance of all aircraft fleets and maintenance aspects, and it is my belief that this will prove to be the growth engine for Indians' domestic aerospace manufacturing capabilities. Our government has taken a path of breaking decision of increasing foreign direct investment limit in defense manufacturing under automatic route from 49% to 74%. Further, the recently issued Defense Acquisition Procedure 2020 has included necessary provisions to encourage FDI and establish manufacturing hubs across India. I can proudly say that we have reached an inflection point in domestic defense manufacturing, and the trajectory from here on would only be upwards. The new policies have created an ideal environment for defense manufacturing, and there could not be a better time for foreign industry to partner with us to drive the Make in India vision. I would take this opportunity to seek your support in this endeavor. Friends, I am glad to see that many of the discussion topics planned in this conclave pertain to the emerging technology which are changing the way the battles will be fought in future. Recent conflicts have shown the potency of these emerging technologies, and we are heavily focused on building these capabilities. We are keen to cooperate with our defense partners in these niche technologies with focus on knowledge sharing and co-production. BrahMos system is a shining example of technology sharing and a co-production creating a world-class product. As we all are actually aware, budgetary constraints play a big role in limiting the extent to which we can build our armed forces. To work around this constraint and at the same time to achieve the desired military capabilities, it is but natural to have a robust mechanism in place where we can share our technology and best practices. We are looking forward to cooperate with friendly countries and work towards capability building that can address their security issues and create a more stable and prosperous environment in the region. Friends, we live in a challenging geopolitical landscape where countries not only have to face the threat of military aggression, but natural calamities which include pandemics like COVID-19, which has wreaked havoc in the last 1 year. Therefore, when faced with the threats across multiple dimensions, it is imperative for us to strengthen our relations with countries with whom we share converging views on key global issues. Geopolitically, India is a reliable partner in the Indian Ocean region. I would like to emphasize on this point again. Geopolitically, India is a reliable partner in the Indian Ocean region and can take on the role of being the net security provider in the region. Air power has and would continue to play a critical role in maintaining regional stability and peace in the region. The freedom of maneuver provided by air and space capabilities enables us to exert influence in a sustainable and easily escalable manner. Indian Air Force is at the very forefront of offensive capability with its reach, speed, and precision. Indian Air Force expertise in undertaking complex long-range operation mission by day and night across diverse fighter platforms is unmatched in the region. With the integration of indigenously manufactured standoff weapon system, it is capable of undertaking precise targeting missions at long distances over targets 3,000 kilometers away from our mainland. Lastly, air power is a critical element of any response to take natural disasters. The Indian Ocean region is one of the most densely populated areas in the world and is prone to natural calamities with some of the most catastrophic natural disasters to life and property being witnessed by the people of the region. Our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi, during his historic keynote address at Shanghai La Dialogue 2018, had articulated the key role of India's armed forces in building partnership in the Indo-Pacific region for peace and security, as well as humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. Friends, India's unique disposition in the Indian Ocean region, complemented by a potent airlift capability of Indian Air Force, enables us to contribute significantly in humanitarian aid and disaster relief missions. Just to give you a broad overview on the magnitude of HADR operations undertaken by Indian Air Force in the last 5 years itself, we have tackled roughly about 100 contingencies, during which we have flown a total of 6,000 plus sorties and evacuated more than 44,000 in distress. I firmly believe that HADR management with robust SOPs should be the cornerstone of any defense cooperation. India has been regularly conducting exercises to deepen the HADR cooperation and coordination among our neighbors, with focus on sharing expertise and assisting building capabilities. I am sure that this conclave will further enhance the existing mechanisms which have been refined over the years. Friends, once again, I would like to compliment Air Chief Marshal R.K.S. Bhadauria and the staff of Indian Air Force for organizing this conclave, which I am sure in the next few days will develop deeper bondings between nations and generate avenues that will further defense cooperation between all of us. Together, when we cooperate, we usher in peace and stability in our region and the world at large. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now the chief guest will be releasing the brochure for the Chiefs of Air Staff Conclave 2021.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, now may I please request the chiefs of the Air Forces and all the heads of delegations to please move out for the group photograph. We will assemble again at 1620 hours.